In every relationship, there comes a time when we are faced with challenging situations, and sometimes, the pressure from outside forces can feel overwhelming. In this story, I want to share my experience of how my husband's family, especially his mother, tried to move in with us, and how it led to a shocking moment when his mom threatened divorce to get what she wanted. This was a turning point in my marriage, one that tested my boundaries, my patience, and ultimately my strength. Stick with me as I walk you through what happened, how I reacted, and how it changed everything between us. When I married my husband, I envisioned our life together, just the two of us, building a future with our love as the foundation. I knew that family would always play an important role in our lives, but I also believed that we would be able to create space for ourselves. However, the reality was different. My husband came from a family where the bond was tight-knit, sometimes a bit too much for my liking. It didn't take long before I realized that there were expectations placed on me that I hadn't anticipated. His family, especially his mother, had always been involved in our lives. At first, I thought it was harmless. Regular visits, family gatherings, and the occasional phone call. But as time went on, I started to notice that the lines between our space and theirs were becoming increasingly blurred. And one day, it all came to a head. It all started when my husband mentioned, casually at first, that his parents were thinking about downsizing their home. He said they were considering selling it and moving to something smaller. That conversation didn't seem to mean much at the time. But then, just a few days later, he came to me with an idea that turned everything upside down. My parents are thinking of moving in with us, just temporarily, of course, until they figure things out. What do you think? I was taken aback. It wasn't that I didn't love his parents, but I had always imagined that our home was our personal space, a sanctuary for the two of us. I didn't know how I felt about them moving in, especially since we hadn't even discussed it beforehand. I felt blindsided, like my opinion wasn't even being considered. I tried to express my concerns, explaining that while I understood the need for family support, I wasn't sure I was ready to share our space like this. I thought we had built a home together, and I didn't want to give that up. But my husband reassured me, saying it was just temporary and that it would only be for a few months. It won't be that bad, he said. But deep down, I felt uncomfortable with the idea. This wasn't just about the physical space, it was about boundaries, respect, and maintaining the dynamics of our marriage. As the idea of them moving in became more real, I began to feel more and more uncomfortable. It wasn't just the idea of living with them. It was the fact that my husband didn't seem to fully acknowledge how it was affecting me. Every time I brought up my concerns, it felt like my voice wasn't being heard. I started noticing subtle changes. My husband, who used to always be on my side when it came to decisions about our home, started siding with his parents more often. He became defensive, almost as if he didn't want to confront them about the impact it would have on us. The tension was rising, and I began to feel like I was the outsider in my own home. It wasn't just the thought of his parents moving in anymore, it was the lack of respect for my feelings and the growing divide between us. Then, one evening, everything changed. My husband came to me with a troubled look on his face, holding his phone. "My mom is really upset," he said. "She says if we don't let them move in, she'll threaten divorce." I froze. Divorce? Was she serious? The idea of her threatening our marriage just to get her way seemed unreal. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. How could someone manipulate their own son and his wife like this? I was in shock. I felt betrayed, not only by my mother-in-law but by my husband as well. How could he just accept her threats without standing up for us? I wasn't prepared for this level of emotional manipulation, and it hit me hard. The more I thought about it, the angrier I became. It wasn't just about a house or a decision, it was about the control being exerted over our marriage. I knew I had to take a stand. I couldn't just sit back and let this happen. I felt my anger growing, but I also knew that I needed to approach this calmly and rationally. I told my husband that we needed to have a serious conversation. We can't let anyone come between us. Not even your family, I said. I expressed how hurt I was that his mother was using divorce as leverage and how much it made me feel disrespected. I reminded him that our marriage should come first, no matter what. His response was one of shock, but I could tell he was starting to realize the severity of the situation. It was an uncomfortable conversation, but it was necessary. We needed to set boundaries and put our relationship first. After much back and forth, we made the difficult decision: his parents wouldn't move in. We agreed that while we wanted to support his family, we couldn't let it come at the expense of our marriage. We would find another way to help them, but our home, our space, was ours to protect. It wasn't an easy decision. My husband was torn between his loyalty to his parents and his commitment to me, but in the end, we agreed that we needed to prioritize our relationship. It wasn't about being selfish, it was about respect, boundaries, and protecting what we had built together. When we informed his parents of our decision, things didn't go smoothly. My mother-in-law was upset, and the tension in the room was palpable. But we stood firm. We explained that while we understood their situation, living with us wasn't the solution. We would help them in other ways, but not in a way that would jeopardize our marriage. It took time, but eventually, my mother-in-law began to understand, albeit reluctantly. The strain on our relationship with her remained, but we had made the right choice for our marriage. This experience taught me a lot about setting boundaries, standing up for my relationship, and recognizing the importance of mutual respect in a marriage. It wasn't easy, but I'm proud of how my husband and I handled it. We learned that no one, no matter how close they are, should come between you and your spouse. Sometimes, standing up for your marriage means making tough decisions, but it's those decisions that protect the bond you share. It also taught me that communication and compromise are essential. In the end, we were able to find a balance between supporting his family and protecting our marriage. And that balance is something we'll continue to work on as we move forward. Thank you for watching and sharing in this journey with me. If you've been through something similar, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share if you found this story relatable. Remember, protecting your relationship is always worth it.